You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a beautiful sunny afternoon. Edge of springtime, but not quite there in South Bermondsey. Welcome to Zampa Road for the visit of 6th place Sheffield United, top of the Championship form table, but in 6th spot of the real Football League table. Up against the Lions, of course, the listeners, who sit 3rd in the form table, albeit 12th in the Championship table, but very much looking upwards after that fantastic midweek win up there at Pride Park. Your Lions this afternoon are an unchanged side, dear listeners. A couple of hints in the press, it's still called the press, in midweek about going around having to make changes, but your Lions this afternoon are unchanged from that visit to Derby. Bart in goal, back line of Wallace, Murray Wallace, Cooper and Hutch on either side of them. Scott Malone, Danny Mack, midfield, Billy Mitchell, Jules Saville, and the front three, a very exciting front three that's got the den buzzing of Mason Bennett, Tyler Bury and Jed Wallace, with power, pace and movement, everything that we like to see on a Millwall side. Sheffield United, as I say, are in form at the moment. I'm just consulting the form table. We say top of the last 6 games, 4 wins, 2 draws, no losses in the last 6. By contrast, Millwall, 4 wins, 1 draw, just 1 loss. Somebody's got to give this afternoon, dear listeners. Decent looking crowd here in the den. Not a full house, but it's filling up rapidly as we approach kick-off. Sheffield United in their traditional red and white stripes and black shorts. Millwall, of course. What else? Dark blue and white. Sorry if I sound a little breathless, listeners. I've parked up at my usual spot after a bit of a mare of a journey. Walked down. It's actually the first time I've been out of the house in a few weeks. Beautiful blue skies above the incinerator plant. Bermondsey looks like a jewel in the sunshine this afternoon. Lions will be attacking their way into the first half in accordance with Venerable Bede's manuscripts. And it will be Sheffield to kick us off. Away we go. After all the usual customs and practices are indulged. Early break, there's a shot from the edge of the penalty area. Looping shot's gone over the bar inside 16 seconds from the Sheffield United. I thought Millwall's opening up there at Derby midweek, you would have seen it by now, so no need for me to go too deeply into it. But that opening free kick from Jed Wallace on the left, bouncing in front of the goalkeeper, set us up fine and dandy up there. Can't expect such hot starts in every game. That really did put us on the front foot for that first half where really the game was won. But one thing I did point out, I think, in the midweek show was how the defence largely cut out not bad Derby side, in fairness. They kept them at bay. It's another break, less than 29, about halfway inside the Millwall half. Apologies for my nasal quality to my voice. I can hear it as I'm talking, listeners, so you'll have to forgive me. Or change your channel or something. Real sense of buzz after that win. And it's 3 on the spin. The question being today, can we make it 4? I think we've got a tough opponent. There's no hiding from the fact that Sheffield United are a decent side. I know that Aaron, I think, in midweek said that they're for the taking. I will be surprised if it's going to be that much of a pushover. Speaking to the news at Den in the week, Gary Rowett said he might have to make changes. I think it's an unchanged side, as we said at the start of the show. It should be heading back, and is, to Bartbell Gospel. The article says that we only have 3 forwards, Jed, Mason and Tyler, all of whom start this afternoon. Whether you class Conor Mahoney as a forward, I suppose he's more a winger than anything else. He is on the bench this afternoon. Not that he seems favoured overly by Rowett. Rowett speaking, it's Tyler's first league start in the week up there at Derby, so talk about the tiring effects of such a big game on him. But this is the big leagues, as they say in baseball. This is the business in which we're engaged in. I think that was from The Godfather, wasn't it? Not Mo Green, Hyman Roth. This is the nature of the business. Beautiful, beautiful power run by Mason Bennett for that second goal Wednesday night. I've been raving about it to anyone that will listen since Wednesday night's coverage, listeners, which is largely my wife. I think she's probably had enough of it. That's a great little taken touch there by Tyler Bury, down by the corner flag. Should be a corner. No, he's saying goal kick. A boy with real flamboyant skill and the confidence to use it, which is always the magic formula. Really like the look of Tyler Bury, listeners. That's a good old school chant. I haven't heard that for a long time. Takes me back to Cold Blood Rain in the 1970s. Incidentally, do have a listen to my fantastic conversation with John Rankin, a fan from that era, like myself. A couple of shows back now, but well worth a listen. If you want a history lesson into the 1970s, New Cross, have a tune in. Big thank you to John for contacting me. Do get in touch with me if you want to have an afternoon conflab with Nick about the olden days. I'm always available. Get in touch with me on AchtungMillwall on Twitter, @AchtungMillwall. Nice little 1-2 there by Tyler. He does well with Scotland. A little back heel, flamboyant stuff for a moment, but I think Sheffield will bring the ball away. They get a free kick to enable them to do that. It's much to the disagreement of the West Upper. Mason Bennett limping gingerly from the pitch after a couple of minutes with retention. Unfortunately, still 14 minutes in. That's not a good sign. He's been playing really well though. Whether he's going to make a comeback, because he doesn't look up to it as he's limping off. I expect a substitution from the Lions very early into the game. And false change. No, he's really gingerly limping off. George Evans coming in. I don't understand the move. We'll go 3-man midfield, I guess. Don't get that booing, do you, listeners? I'm not the biggest fan of George Evans, but it's 0-0 15 minutes into the game. I don't get that. So, at me, as the kids say. Story of the first quarter, I suppose you could say that Sheffield United are having the better of it so far. No real incidents worth the name, certainly from a Millwall perspective, and a few wayward shots from Sheffield so far. 25 minutes in. Sheffield coming down our right flank now. Ball into the box since the Ukraine crisis unfolded. I find myself speaking in militaristic terms, Spencer, listening. I now talk about flanks rather than wings. On the wing, on the right wing, I now talk about the right flank and the eastern flank. I would never have made a good soldier, listeners. I would be arguing back all the time against stupid orders, querying and quibbling them. They probably would have put me in the first wave to go over the top, and I hope that I get shot. Tyler appealing for a free kick there, not given. On the left side, playing more on the left now, really. He's struggled well because he dares speak up, makes his case, but the referee don't like that. Rowett speculation, the amount of interest that Tyler Bury will be generating from other clubs, financial interest, and yes he will. He's a flair player. I really like to see it. Little ball through that, Daniel Aspinall behind for a goal kick. Offside as he was trying to overlap the ball through from midfield. Yeah, of course he will attract attention. Some of the touches and flicks, and the vision that he's shown in the few appearances he made for Millwall will, of course, draw the attention of the scouts of the social betters, the listeners. Nice to see Tyler is actually going over and having a word with the referee, arguing his case. Confident boy. He's certainly bending the referee's ear, not in an imploring way rather than any kind of aggressive way. The referee certainly knows what Tyler's viewpoint is now as he walks away. So it's a game where both sides are cagily cancelling each other out. I'd say that Sheffield have probably had more of the possession going forwards, more of the balls into the box, but they've been dealt with in a straightforward way by the Mill defence. About the best judgment I can give it at 33 minutes nearly. Breaks. This is Joe Saville in midfield. He's got Jed inside him. Danny Mack now on the right. Jed overlapping. What can he do? Ball's into the middle. It's in front of everyone. The two clears it in the end. Just behind the oncoming Tyler Bury. Mill's best mover and best chance of the half. That's going to be a free kick. Jules Saville crept in midfield. Coming towards 39 minutes. First real incisive opportunity for the Lions there. There's been an ongoing debate all season, listeners, isn't there? You've probably had it in your own world yourself about the rights and wrongs of Gary Rowett, but I saw something posted the other day, midweek, about Gary Rowett, how historically, I think it was Tony Mundy saying we've never been a consistent mid-table championship side back-to-back in his time. The ball floated in there. That's Jake Cooper. That's going to go for a goal kick. And Gary Rowett's achievement, whether you like the football or not, which of course is the $64,000 question, but he has kept us as that kind of consistently mid-table-ish championship side, which, given the resources available to us, given this season, the injury crisis that we've contended with one way or the other all season, is some achievement, and it does create a real dilemma, doesn't it? Because some of the football has been pretty tedious, but then some of the football's been very, very good as well. I mean, the game against QPR I'm thinking of, and some of the performances that we've seen up at Derby in the first half especially, I thought was very, very good. So you can't, it's not a simple the football's boring, get Gary Rowett out, because in many ways, in my opinion, we are placed higher as a consequence of his pragmatic management than the quality and value of our squad should allow. I mean, I know there's plenty of other teams around us with higher value, higher spending size, players that have been signing big fees and so on, and we don't have the means to do that. We've just got to be realistic. So to compete in a league like this is no mean feat. How do you see it, listeners? Is that a fair assessment? Is that the balance versus entertainment? Is the consequences of being too entertaining with a squad that can't consistently play at a very, very high level, is that you're going to lose games and possibly find yourself in a relegation battle? And as I saw today, a post on Twitter, someone said, give your head a shake if you think relegation's not an okay thing, because the quality of football and the loss of income in League One is quite decisive. So it's not an easy debate. Personally, the last few games have really lifted my spirits for the season. Who knows whether we're going to make a run for the playoffs? Who knows? At the moment we're 0-0, coming towards 42 minutes against one of the form sides of the division, and we could, with too much of an open display here, then you could be at least a couple of goals behind. So, and that would certainly end our season as it is, if Gary Rowett can sustain interest going into mid-March, late March, and we're still sniffing, we're still chasing. Again, you've got to take your hat off to that, listeners. Just my view. It's going to be a free kick on the right side to Sheffield United after that lecture. The thoughts of Chairman Hart. A little bit of pushing and shoving by the 29. Wasn't he involved earlier on? Is it the same player? He's pushing around with Malone. No, he wants to give him a kiss. Oh, it's a 2. 2 wants to kiss him. 29 wants to push him. It's a yellow card. That's twice now he's got petrol. As it is going to be a free kick for Sheffield. Coming to 43 minutes on the right side. It's just short of being a more dangerous looking corner, if you like. Chance for Sheffield to put the ball into the danger area. It's floated in, it's onto the roof of the net. No danger there, dear listeners, thankfully. Do phone in your thoughts. I'd love to get your thoughts on 0208 144 0232. You go straight through to an answer phone. I don't answer it. I don't have to talk to me unless you want to talk to me, in which case message me and we can sort out a call. I love to get people's views. It was great to talk to John Rankin last week. It's wonderful to get the voicemail messages after a game, midweek, whenever you fancy it. You know, call in. It's just a 0208 144 0232. It's a landline number with an answer phone attached to it. Oh, it's been a quiet game overall for both sides, really. I think one or two wayward shots from both sides, one way or the other, but nothing hugely exciting to report. 0-0 at half time. We'll be back after these messages, dear listeners.
Achtung, Millwall.
Teams out for the second half, dear listeners. Lions will be attacking the Coldblow Lane end in the second half, hopefully with a bit more attacking vim, albeit carrying that injury now to Mason Bennett. We've got George Evans in midfield. Some comment online about the negativity of the decision. I think maybe that explains the booing that we heard when Evans came in, which I can kind of understand if you're booing the decision, but of course the player coming in will hear it as you're booing him. And like I said a few times, I'm not the biggest fan of George Evans has ever been, but he don't deserve that. So anyway, negative Gary. Chance in the second half to get the Rowett train rolling again. Is it going to be an express train? Is it going to be an all-station stopping to Dartford train via Woolwich Arsenal? We'll find out. Away we go. Ball into the box. Sheffield coming down the left side. Inside the first net. Should go for a goal kick. Nasty work there by Sean Hutchinson, one of our standout players for the season, in my opinion. We'll be coming up to that time, player of the season time soon, won't we, listeners? Who are you going to vote for? Hutchinson, Murray Wallace, Jed Wallace. All will be good shouts. I know Jed had a bit of a spell out injured, which so far we have been lucky with Sean Hutchinson. We haven't had. And Murray Wallace was he not out for a brief period? But will always give you 100%. The epitome of the Millwall player, in my opinion. I think it may well be coming from one of those three. Personally, I'd go with Jed, because I think he deserves it. Whatever the end of season brings with Jed, his contribution is immense. 50 minutes on the stadium clock. Taken short. Training ground routine went wrong there. It does give the Lions a chance to break. Can we take advantage? It's Tyler Bury going down the left side now. 50 minutes. He's run it into some space. He's going well. Oh, he's been body checked on the left side as he put it into the penalty area. It's going to be a free kick. Yellow card. There wasn't really a goal scoring chance. It was nicely done though. He was body checked as he went to beat his man for pace there. So he's been winded. Can't afford to lose Tyler. Then we're coming down to Conor Mahoney. Absolutely. Dirty northern bastard. Left-sided free kick in that case. Tyler trots away ruefully. Tyler off the pitch whilst he gets some more medical attention after that body check. It's going to be Jed Wallace to take. Will he take a shot? He will. Low and hard. That's going to go for a corner. Left-sided corner. Tyler comes back into the fray. 52 minutes. It's taken short to Jed. This is now chipped back into the middle. Didn't go right over the top of everybody. Back to Danny Mack on the halfway line. Little run. He's going to have a go. It took a deflection. It's rolled loose across the goal. Wow. That's going to go for a right-sided corner from George Evans. Ball shot from Danny Mack. Just took a deflection. The goalkeeper palmed it. Left was very tight angle. The ball was put back from the left side across the face of the 6-yard box. Eventually going for a right-sided corner after George Evans did well there. Now Jed Wallace to take on the right. Sense of anticipation then is floated into the middle. It's headed clear. Physical body check there for Billy Mitchell. Will win it back. Jed Wallace on the right side there. He's got Jules Saville with him. Hutchinson didn't quite control it properly. It's going to be a right-sided throw-in. A little spell of pressure for the Millwall. Took until 60 minutes. Going to be a Millwall danger free kick now on the right side. That's 2 or 3 yards short of the right side penalty area. It's Jed Wallace standing over it. Flicked into the area, far post. 1-0 Millwall! Jake Cooper! Far post header! Mill leading 1-0! 60 minutes! And then explodes! Basic flick from the right side across the far post, met by the giraffe that is Jake Cooper. Headed in with a plum. Sean Hutchinson down in the amidst the celebrations. Punching the floor in frustration. What's he done to himself? Ballard coming in. Hutchins walking away, limping away. The amount of injury is incredible at the moment. That's the second senior player to leave the game. Mason Bennett in the first half, now Sean Hutchinson in the second half. So that's not too bad, we'll keep saying. Has been down for a couple of minutes, so this will add more time at the end of the game. Ballard comes in. It's his first game from returning from injury, isn't it? That's an obscure joke going on there. Must be someone in the Sheffield. I can't see him where I'm standing. I'm sorry. Eminem, slim with a slim shady stand up. I don't know. Not my scene there. 67 minutes on the clock. Sheffield coming down our right side. Ball into the box of 10. Hoofs it over the bar. Awkward kind of backward volley there. Ball chipped down the right side channel. This is the 8 over on the right side of the penalty area. 72. Coming to 73 minutes. Man overlapping, can they get across him? Lions have closed it down quite nicely. In comes the cross, it's across the face of the goal. The 9 went up for the head and missed it completely. Lions still under a little bit of pressure on the left side of our defence. Bravely in by Dan Ballard. Gives Millwall a chance to break. This is Danny Mack now at 83 minutes. Crossing the halfway line, he's got Billy Mitchell overlapping. It's a lovely diagonal ball. Finds Scott Malone on the left side. What can he do? He's kind of run it into a tight angle. Ball into the box. Straight to 2 defenders, unfortunately. They do bring away. The railway train is rolling, listeners. Ball down the line. There it is! 1-0 Millwall! Really strong win. I mean, that was hard worked. Decent side, form side coming into the game. That was a very, very Gary Rowett win, listeners. Not pretty, ugly at times. Hard work, ground out. Jake Cooper's decisive goal in the second half, headed home with the far post to win it. 3 points. The Rowett train is rolling. There it is. We're going to be back after after these messages, dear listeners.
Achtung, Millwall.
Yes, indeed, listeners, that is the sound of the Rowett train, the full express on the way to Charing Cross, not stopping anywhere, boring in between. Joining me on the platform to get on it are my two co-passengers. First up, Mr. Graham Payne. Welcome to the show, Graham.
Hello, Nick. I'm on the train with you.
We're on the Rowett train, the Rowett Express, mate. Also with his Purcell tickets in his hand, his vouchers from the Purcell packets. It's Mr. Neil Fissler. How are you, mate?
Good evening, Nick. Yeah, well, I thought that I'd come on a Charlton podcast then for a minute, mate. I tell you, not the Millwall I know.
The Purcell reference would be one for younger listeners to ask their dads about. That's. I'm not going to get into that at the moment. Gentlemen, another win. 4 wins on the spin. The Rowett train, as we've said, is rolling. Today's game was not the prettiest, Graham, was it? It was a hard win, a hard grind, but we won it. And I think that's a very Rowett performance, I thought, today. How did you see it, mate?
Yeah, you summed it up. It wasn't pretty. I thought it had 0-0 written all over it, really. Or it was going to be 1 goal. And fortunately, we got the goal. I mean, 4 wins out of the spin. You know, last time I was on here was after the Blackpool game. It was all doom and gloom. And, you know, where we going? Now we're 5 points off the playoffs and everything. Yeah.
That's Neil. Neil, I mean, that is Millwall, isn't it? I mean, you know, to be in contention for something, you know, we the injury list we'll come on to in a moment, but that's piling up, and that may be the undoing of us in the end. But you know, to be interested in the outcome of the season going into March, given where the club has been at, given some of the performances on occasions, is no mean achievement. I mean, I think, you know, managers take a lot of flack, don't they? And you should be as quick to praise when things go their way, so to speak. Do you think,
mate? Hands up! I think the last time I was on a post-match show was with H a few weeks ago.
That's right. That's right.
And we were talking about, does Gary Rowett have a future at the club? I think if you listen to some people, he probably still hasn't, because they won't cut off the nose to spite their face, will they? But to be honest, you can't argue with the last four games, can you? 4 games, 4 wins. Sheffield United offered absolutely zilch today, apart from a long throw-in into the box. Yeah. And that is what their whole game plan revolved around. Ours wasn't much better, don't get me wrong. I think if we were going to score, it was going to come off the set piece, wasn't it? And but it was a workmanlike performance. We rolled up our sleeves. The one bit of quality, there were a couple of bits of quality from us, but I thought the header from Jake Cooper was absolutely superb, wasn't it? A towering header.
Absolutely.
In the old-fashioned style. And
reminded me of Kitchener at the far post, the way he put it away. It was a power header.
It was, mate. It was. He just absolutely powered in there, got above his man. There was all kinds of shenanigans going on in there. There was pushing and pulling and rugby tackles that wouldn't have looked out of place at Twickenham this afternoon. But,
that's right.
But at the end of the day, it's a 1-0 win. So we'll take that all day long, won't we? A team that are in and around the playoffs with us. Yeah, you've got to look upon that as a positive thing, haven't you?
Absolutely. I don't think it's too much of an exaggeration. I mean, you've got to separate you've got to separate the entertainment value of today's, Graham, from the weight of the result, because I think that was a huge performance today, and it wasn't pretty. You know, I'm not going to dress this up to make it out. It was something exhilarating to watch, because it was a hard grind of a game. But given our circumstances, I do put that amongst one of our best performances in a very long time from the circumstances. Do you agree with that, or is that overdoing it for you?
Yes, I do. I mean, there's been a lot of comment online, and I held my hands up. When George Evans came on, when Bennett went off, I thought, oh, what is he doing? But when you analyse it, I thought he definitely wasn't fit. He's a 15-year-old kid or Mahoney. He obviously doesn't trust Mahoney. So, it was Evans or a 15-year-old kid in my eyes, and he went for Evans. And all right, it looked like a really negative move. It did. But it was all part of, you can't knock him for part of the football.
Yeah, but to be honest, it looked like probably one of his worst substitutions ever.
Well, that was the reaction, though, Neil.
Didn't it?
That was the reaction, the booing.
Yeah, it was. The thing you've got to look on, and I think we've touched upon it before, I'm going to keep on harping back to things we've touched on, but he obviously doesn't trust Mahoney, doesn't want Mahoney there. Mahoney's only there to make up the numbers on the bench. Zach Lovelace, he obviously thinks isn't ready, but in my view, he could have put him on, and he could have given him an hour, and he could have brought him off again. There's no reason to say why he couldn't have done that. And Afobe quite plainly, obviously, isn't fit. But if he isn't fit, he shouldn't be on the bench, in my opinion. No. Because if you're on the bench, you're on the bench to do a job. But to be fair, hands up, I think the reaction of everybody, I think everybody was right at the time. And, in true Millwall fashion, there's always going to be a pile on, isn't there? When your view doesn't quite work out, but I still maintain it was the right thing to say at the time. It looked like an awful substitution, but at the end of the day, it was a ballsy substitution and one that paid off handsomely.
I think you're right, Neil. I don't like booing Millwall players coming in on the pitch. I can't get that, and people have their own opinions, and I get the sense of negativity that the arrival of George Evans brings, because he's not going to get you out of your seat. But as you're right, Graham. I mean, you've got 15-year-old kids, or you've got players that are returning from injury and maybe on. What was that? It was about 15 minutes into the game, I think, wasn't it? Maybe 20 minutes, but you've still got the bulk of the game to go. Options were severely limited, so I don't like negativity, of course. And we, after the last few performances where we've seen some really good attacking showings, to lose one of our main parts of those good performances recently, and then bring in George Evans. I didn't think did that badly, in fairness to him. I think it's just a shame that people boo Millwall players coming into a game, but there we are. I think you're right, Neil. It's the Millwall way. It's a courageous decision, because I mean, clearly, for whatever reason, Graham, Conor Mahoney is not seen as a player that you turn to in a tight situation, and George Evans, like him or not, is a player that will give you a percentage performance. And I think that's what the manager went for there.
I honestly thought he was going to bring Lovelace on, because as soon as Bennett went down, Lovelace started warming up. And I thought, oh, he must be bringing him on. And then suddenly Evans came from out of the dugout. I don't think he even warmed up, stripped and went straight on. But
yeah,
I mean, that's the first time I've seen Lovelace. And for a 15-year-old, he's well built, isn't he?
He's a well built. I think a little bit like Bury, who's coming into his own game by game. But I think you have to be realistic, listeners, in that these are still kids, aren't they? I mean, Bury's learning his trade. He can look a little bit light on the ball at times, which is something that Mason Bennett doesn't. He looks a physically hard player. And I suppose if you're going to pitch Zach Lovelace into a game against the form side, Neil, I mean, Sheffield United came into this game undefeated in 6, or was it 10? Sorry, 10 games without a defeat. So this is a strong opponent. I know you got to learn your job, but
this was a team actually packed full of players that have played in the Premier League.
Yeah,
and that knew their way around a bit. I think they had a guy up front that probably cost more than our entire side. Yeah, probably even more than our entire squad on the day in Ollie McBurney. But I go back that if Zach Lovelace is on the bench, he should have the confidence to bring him on, even if it is after 15, 20 minutes of a game. Because what have you got to lose? You can always bring him off again. It doesn't necessarily mean you've got to leave him on for the remaining 75 minutes of the game. But it was a gutsy decision and one that paid off. So, but let's not dwell too much upon that, really.
No,
because,
you're right.
Because we have actually won a game of football. We're unbeaten in 4. I thought the playoffs was a dream about a month ago, and I think I told you at the start that we needed a bit of a reality check. Maybe I need a bit of a reality check, because if we carry on the way we're going, we're steaming, aren't we? We're absolutely flying.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Graham, I mean, I think last time you and me spoke, it was Blackpool, I think you said, wasn't it? Which was
Blackpool,
a miserable game. And if you'd have said to me then, playoffs, I wonder what you're drinking over there. Get a drop or two of it myself, because it seemed a very far away, off in the distance. But there it is, a few wins. I think I said that, unless we're going to go on a 10-game unbeaten, stream, which, we're 4 games into it now. So, anything becomes possible. We're now 5 points away from Luton in 6th spot. We've beaten a form side, which, as Neil says correctly, is packed with expensive talent, which we don't have the resources for. Some tough fixtures lying ahead for us. I mean, Reading next week won't be a walkover. We've got to go there and get a result. But I just think it's injuries that might be our undoing. We saw Bennett leave us, and we saw Hutchinson today, Graham, didn't we? That might be the thing that undoes us.
Bennett's looked like a side strain or something to me, because he was just in front of me. And
you look like a hip injury on TV. Yeah, it was a hip injury on TV, definitely.
Which is a blow.
He's going to be out for a while.
Ballard came in late and I thought did a good job. I wondered whether he might look a little rusty coming back after injury, but he came in and, imposed himself. The goal, Neil, I mean, we've said already, was a classic far post header, but it came at just the right moment because the game was in the balance. I think that, these were tough opponents, but the goal when it came just felt like a decisive one somehow. It was one of those games where one goal really was going to be enough, because I can't think offhand, and correct me, boys, if I'm wrong, I can't think of there was one save. I think Bart batted a long distance shot over the bar, I think that was in the second half.
Yeah, it was in the second half. It was from the guy with the long throw, wasn't it? He missed it. He went across it.
Yeah.
And somehow it went right down Bart's throat, thankfully. But
yeah,
you're right. It was one of those games when your mum's calling you in for tea. It's just getting dark. You're in the park, and the cry goes up, next goal's the winner, even though it's about 30 goals to 2 or something like that.
I've played in that game,
yeah. It was one of those classic, the next goal is the winner, because you just didn't think we were going to create another chance, not with not having a forward on the pitch.
No.
And to be honest, they didn't really look like breaking us down, did they? They had plenty of possession in and around the box, but they did very little with it. They were pretty disappointing, I think.
I thought so. I mean, for a team that came in highly rated, I thought that they didn't really create anything in front of goal. But the long range shot, and I think there was a ball that went across our 6-yard box at one point. I could be wrong.
I think
we were unlucky at the start of the second half, actually. I think, didn't George Evans get onto a ball that looked like it was going out of play, and he played it across the face of the 6-yard box, and there was nobody to tuck it in?
Yeah.
I think it was Fissler. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Was there long throws in the first half? They were the most dangerous.
I love
Bart was batting them away.
I love a well-flighted long throw. It's just one of those things. I've always loved it ever since the 1970s. I just enjoy it. And unfortunately, it was on the other side today, but I do like to see a decent long throw in that way. Thankfully,
it was a real throwback to Adrian Siriu, wasn't it?
Yes,
and the havoc that he caused in that debut game against Leicester, where he just slung it into the box and nobody had a bloody clue where it was going, and it went into, I think somebody, did Dennis Wise knock it into the back of the net or somebody like that, and we won 1-0?
I think we won it.
That was a real throwback. It was. They're absolutely like missiles, weren't they? Yeah, well, Vladimir Putin will be getting him over to the Ukraine border, won't he? Because it's going a bit tits up over there, so we might as well get that guy to sling a few in.
And the artillery, yeah, which we that's a different podcast. I mean, thankfully, no midweek, Graham, no midweek game this week till Reading, so that gives us a few days respite to try and get some of our walking wounded. I'd imagine that Afobe, if he's on the bench today, you think he must start next week in the absence, I'm going to guess, of Mason Bennett. We'll see what the medical report is, and that the Millwall medical report must be like going into volumes now, mustn't it? Each Monday morning, the casualty list gets longer and longer.
Yeah, you have to expect Whitty and Valance to come up, don't you? And stand at a podium at a press conference. Next slide, please.
This is a picture of Mason Bennett's hip. But then we've got some tough opponents after that, and we've got the rescheduled Blackburn game, which is next Tuesday. Middlesbrough, Huddersfield, I'm seeing, and then an away trip at Stoke. So I don't know. I mean, Graham, I think it's difficult to call this season. I think you got to take it game by game. Really, I can't see any. We are on the roller coaster ride, aren't we? We could come off at any point, but it's been strangely enjoyable these past few weeks, which I think we've all craved for a long while.
Oh, we have, haven't we? There's been so much negativity this season with the way Rowett sets us up and how we're playing. But the last 4 games, it seems everyone's come together. The side have come together, and I think if you take Fulham out of it and possibly Bournemouth, everything else is a muchness. And I think we can beat anyone, to be honest, in the league, apart from maybe Fulham and even Bournemouth. We gave them a game, so I don't think it's a very strong championship this year. So let the train carry on rolling, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. All we need is a full complement of we need 11 players to start, Neil, don't we? Really, that's about all we need at the moment. It's about all we get each game.
There has been a lot of criticism about the formation, but I think this is his best set of players that's available at the moment.
Yeah.
So he has to play them. There's no other bones about it. He can't he can't go to a flat back 4 and play Murray Wallace at left back and move Scott Malone into midfield, because he just can't play in midfield, can he? So with all of the injury problems that are knocking around, this is actually probably the only side that we can put out and the only formation that we can put out. And I would have thought that depending upon how training goes next week, it depends on who we can put out, because if Afobe's coming back from a hamstring injury, you can't afford to rush him back, can you? Not now, because if he was to break down next week, then that leaves us with only Zach Lovelace as the only striker in the entire club that's probably fit.
Yeah. I mean, the choices make themselves at a certain point, don't they? It's going to be an interesting week ahead. Just on a total tangent, just to totally change the subject, and not on Mill, as Graham and I were speaking just pre-call, there's a pop-up appeared on my iPad here saying that Roman Abramovich has handed over Chelsea's the care, was it? The care and stewardship of the club to the Chelsea Charitable Trust or something. I suppose because he's going to be frozen out of financial dealings in this country now. It's
yeah, but that's them fuck then. We're going to be going to Chelsea in 2 seasons, aren't they? The Metropolitan Police are already quaking in their boots, aren't they?
Well, I don't know about you, Graham. I've missed Chelsea.
I must admit,
Chelsea away. It's going to be brilliant, isn't it?
So So anyway, we'll see on that. It just popped up. Well, I've done no analysis of that whatsoever, listeners, but it just occurred to me. It's been a long while since we've gone to Stamford Bridge, and I think it's high time with them in reduced circumstances, hopefully, and we can go there for an enjoyable day out. Gentlemen, I want to say thank you on your Saturday nights, respectively, Graham and Neil, for joining me for this brief post-match review of the round. Yes, mate, go for it.
Can I just say how good it was to see Sheffield United joining in Jimmy's Day in those red Jimmy's Day t-shirts today?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
I think that's a cause that's pretty close to every Millwall fan's heart, because Margaret and Barry Mizzen, they're an absolute inspiration to us all as parents, or for those of us that are parents, and the work that they put in to trying to make this world a better place is an absolute credit to the kind of people that they were. And we do support our own,
we do.
And I just thought it was an absolute fantastic thing to see Sheffield United in their red Jimmy's Day shirts and us in our blue Jimmy's Day shirts. And the club, I think, did an amazing job on the programme from what I've seen. So hats off to them. It's great to see that it's actually carried on for the last 5 or 6 years or whatever it is now.
No, I mean, well said. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I hadn't actually. I got to the ground quite late today. The traffic was a mess. I actually missed. I think it was Barry Mizzen was speaking as I walked in through the turnstile. So I kind of missed the event, if you like, and I missed the warm up. So and it escaped my attention. Unfortunately, once you get into the game, your mind turns to football. So no, thank you for that, Neil. I agree. I've had the privilege of speaking to Barry, and he's a very they're both deep thinking people, and you feel quite what's the word, humble speaking to him. I mean, the loss that they've suffered, and to come back from that with such a well, they'll be quite open though. I mean, they base it on their Christian faith, and I think that I find it quite awesome in the true sense of the word when you meet people that respond to tragedy in that way. So well done, Sheffield United, well done, Millwall FC, well done everyone that contributed to the For Jimmy appeal, and long may it continue, as you so well said so well there, Neil. Big thank you to you both, boys. Thank you for taking time out tonight, and we'll try and get the show out for tomorrow, I think. So thank you, Graham. Enjoy your evening.
Cheers, Nick. Thank you. I will.
And enjoy a tipple or two, Mr. Fissler. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much indeed, and I'll speak to you later on next week for our next fixture show.
Our next history, it comes around very quickly, mate. So I'll be speaking to Neil in a week with our March history fixture show. So until then, dear listeners, Arrivederci Millwall, and bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Achtung Millwall. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a cheeky little review. Arrivederci Millwall. Till next time.
Who do you want to watch?